Delta Mike. Of course we can, Frank. Awkward moment, please. Hold on, it was even more awkward for me. Just give us a second. Scroll back, see what I've missed. I was just caught short right at the last second. Oh, I've got all these messages. Frank, okay, it's just Frank. Is it? No. Oh, four thumbs up, but only 2 people here. I think they've left because I was late. I do apologise. I had a quick call of nature. I had plenty of time, but then the receptacle was full and needed to be taken out to be emptied. And yeah, these things sometimes. Oh, is that better or worse? I'm not sure. I'm never sure. Hold on, let me get. I haven't got comfortable since I got back in. Oh! What do you say, babe? Let's see whether we can do this. Hold on. Is it possible? Could it be? It's not really. Is it not? Oh, Tina girl. Hey. You're really not, are you? Can I see you? She's hiding. Hey, babe. Oh, just about saw your eyes, almost nearly. Mountain Camp Gary. You don't have to keep saying it now, mate. I've got it. I know that Mountain Camp is Gary. I might have to pause. I might have to oh, who's it? Owen, wasn't it? The Irish guy. I could not get his name to come to mind. Okay, who's there? Spain memories. What have we got? Is it Adam? Is it Mel? Is it both of you? Hello. I got this light here going a little bit. It stood on top of an empty my sippy cup, my insulated drinking cup. I don't know whether that's too bright. It might be. I've also got beer. Because Anthony, the official beer sponsor of today's episodes, the guy had not even been in the country an hour and a half. It's like he landed at 3 and at 4:15 he was here at my door bringing beer. How's about that? International Deliveroo. Oh, but Antilly, I don't know if you saw, I caught your live stream earlier when you were walking her. I'm not sure how long it had been on, but hold on. Gary's apologising for something. I need to go back and check what he said. I don't see anything that needed an apology. What are you on about? Hope you're both doing well. Yeah, I'm here. You admire me and what I'm doing. I don't know what's to admire, mate. Fuck. Well, some would say I'm a drunk in a field, but oh, what you driving tonight? Okay, you meant what am I drinking tonight? I've got some Heineken, but I've also got this other stuff. M de Brouw or something, I don't know. It's don't know. 8 people here already. I had the most. Tell me about the thumbnails, folks. What thumbnail did you see? The grey just with the round circle with my head, or the what's he say? TrampCast Hangout. I had to battle that shit. Oh, and every time I went in and changed the image, so I'd upload the image, it would show me the image, and then I'd try and post it as a message on YouTube community. And instead of having the image that I've just uploaded, it would have the default image, my head in the middle of a grey rectangle. And I'd go in and I'd edit the image, and I had to be so careful because every time I did it, it deleted the start time. So there's a setting when you create a live stream in YouTube, if you're not careful, you go live straight away, or you set it for some future date or time. And I had it set for variously. I might have started at like 11 and then I changed it to 11:30 on a different attempt later. And so it got the picture wrong. I go in, I change the picture, and then I'm about to save, and I just check. Bastard, they've changed the start time. Well, removed the start time. So if I'd have just clicked save, I would have been going live immediately at, I don't know, whatever time, 8:30, 9 o'clock, whatever bloody time I created the stream in YouTube. I, I, I kid you not. I uploaded this image in excess of 10 times. And when I went to, I'd create the stream and save it, and then go back in because I want to ping it out like to Twitter and to a YouTube community message, a YouTube post, and I do that. I did two to Twitter, and they've just got the basic grey background with the circle with my head in the middle, which isn't what anybody wants to see. But why is that what went on Twitter, and why did that go in the first community post when I've sat there and uploaded the image 10, 12, probably 15 times in the end? Fucking annoying. And then, so the live stream earlier had the proper thumbnail, yeah? The proper one, the elegant the black and red and yellow text and all that. Not just my head in the middle of the box. But when it finished, the YouTube app that I use as a creator to monitor what's what shows me the crappy thumbnail. Gives me a panic, making me think that's what everyone's been looking at. It's a right dog's breakfast. Speaking of which, she's here now. You're sitting up now, aren't you? No, come on. Don't hide. Tina. Oh, you're... Oh, what have I knocked... Okay, that's a full thing. That isn't... You're not gonna... Come here, babe. You're hiding from the peoples. I'm on the end of a cable, folks. I'm charging. Hold on. Whoa! We've gone dark. I need to unplug the cable. The cable produces crackling as well, and sound. Oh, Tina. Where are you, babe? Show the people. I can see the back of your nice new collar. Come on. Our friend Anthony, who came and brought me the beer, he's a leather worker. He makes collars and, well, leather jackets and all sorts, I think. Wallets and all the stuff. Just bought Tina a nice brand new leather collar and a new lead. Hey. Show the... There she is, look. Now you can almost see her. This way. Have a look this way. Look towards the people. Tina, show the peoples. You're not gonna, are you? Talk to the peoples. No, she doesn't like the light, I think. I think that's what it is. Either that or she's aware and she's just shy and doesn't want to be on YouTube. Protecting her privacy, maybe. Where's the... Oh, darker. Tell me your preference. 1, 2, or 3. Whoa, it went darker again. 1, 2, 3. Eh? That's supposed to be brighter. That's the... Oh, it loops around from there. I've got them the wrong way around. Bright, middle, or dull. Tell me what you prefer, and I'll just move that out of the way. This one's almost empty. I'm going to bring the chat back up. David's in there. I just saw David. Frank Nadobity. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. Sorry, Frank. I know Frank from over on Scruff Dog. He's one of his Scruff Dog and I think Clive as well. Big Clive. Awkward moment. Which is something Big Clive says when he walks through an archway and disappears out the back. Gary there, yeah, Frank. You admire, yeah, they all had, people tell me they admire me. I've got no idea what the fuck you're talking about, guys. I'm a guy in a field. And when I arrived in this field, I'd been homeless already so I have a prepper mentality, but my situation was such I wasn't prepared. The banks withdrew my money. Kicked out of an apartment illegally. stayed with a friend for a week, then with another friend for a month, and then back to the original friend for 2 or 3 months, and then given the heave-ho. Me and my friends don't believe you've actually got a bank account with money in. It sounds like you're lying. Da 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 da. Please leave. And with that goes the entire circle of friends, because they're discussing my situation amongst themselves, and they've all decided I'm a liar. And so I have to look amongst the possessions I have. I was given a couple of weeks' notice. If you don't get this sorted within a couple of weeks, blah, blah, you're out. So I had to pick amongst the belongings I had as to what I could bring with me and what would be useful. And I selected things like my 2 picnic blankets, which have been absolutely invaluable. The first night in the field, in the park, I had a holdall with me with some clothes and some things in, and I used that as my pillow, and the rest was just the 2 picnic blankets, one with the rubber to the ground and one with the rubber in the air. So I'm sleeping in between the 2 blankety sides, and I've built from there, folks. I've built from there. I got a you'll always, I mean, I didn't know this at the time, but I know this now. If you walk past 20 bins in Torrevieja, you're going to find some kind of mattress that would have been on a sun lounger by the pool. So early on, I got one of those sun lounger mattresses and a pillow. Still got the pillow here now. It's falling to bits, but I've still got it. At some point, I found like a yoga mat. I got a second one later on, a smaller one for Tina. So the yoga mat, the foam rubbery thing on the floor, and then the sunbed mattress thing, and then a picnic blanket as the first layer of me, and another picnic blanket. Then I found some towels, and I used those as mini blankets inside the bed. And I just built and built. Then eventually I found a small tarpaulin, the one that's at the far end of the tent and ripped, that had me a bit upset a few weeks ago. I got sentimental about a tarpaulin. And then I started finding proper bedding, blankets and quilts and things, and built. But when someone tells me that they admire me or they admire what I'm achieving, I don't see it. My main achievement, how to word this? It's you guys. Well, it's the friends I made along the way, and the 2 ladies who bought me the 2 ladies that bought me the phone. Prior to that, one of them bought me a flask and one bought me a radio. €6. If I'd known that you could get a radio for €6, I would have been here a lot sooner. Because there were times that people gave me a £5 or a tenner, or the guy I was talking about the other week who gave me change out of his pocket whenever he saw me. So it wasn't like a £5 or a tenner, but €2 or €3, but fairly regularly. Henning. Not a typical Norwegian name, but he's Norwegian. But there must have been some kind of Germanic ancestry or family links. But just the friends I made along the way. The people who stopped and talked, the people who gave me €1 here or €2 there, €5, €10. The people who bought me, the 2 ladies, once they got me a flask, it was my birthday, and one said to the other, "Hey, Facebook says it's his birthday. Go get him a bit of something." Got a flask, got a radio. Then when a lot of the Scandinavians leave the country this time of year. It starts to get warm any moment now. Who've we got in? We'll have a few Scandis in, won't we? Let me just scroll back and make sure that let me also try and keep my hand out of the way. I'll stop when I see a Scandi. We must have Jack Attack Jack Jack's not just lurking, he's actually saying he's here. Hello, hello. Come on, I'm scrolling now. I'm getting worried. There's not going to be a Scandi in the house. Make yourself known. Thomas is here. There you go. Norwegian, yeah. Fairly usual, especially in Denmark. Henning, is that what you're saying? Yeah, yeah. Denmark, I think, is a more Germanic language, so that name probably. But Norwegian Henning. I don't. He says it's not that common. But a lot of you guys go home when it starts to get warm. Once you get to kind of April, May, they don't want to be here June, July, August. Frank's part Swede. Probably hence the surname. The surname doesn't. I wouldn't have been able to locate it, but now that you've said that, I'm going to guess that it's connected. I could be wrong, but who knows? I've entirely lost my car going past. Entirely lost my train of thought. What was I talking about? Whoa! He just bottomed out. He's gonna have oil all over the road. Car's gonna break down in about 200 yards. Live chat. Okay. Post and check. I have a bit of Swede and German. You've done the DNA tests, haven't you, Frank? You don't just know that from family history. You've done the DNA tests. They're going to be selling your data now that they've all gone bankrupt. Was it 23andMe? I'm saying that kind of gloating, and I don't mean to. It's coming back already, same car. He's going to try and get home before the car breaks down. Now that he's bottomed it out, and the oil pan's going to be leaking all over the road. Hold on, let me scroll back. A lot of going on. Hold on, floating head. Okay. Karen says Tina, gorgeous girl. Tina's such a sweetheart. You don't have to carry her around all week. No, I love my girl. Come here, don't I, darling? I will carry you around as much as I can for as long as I can. As long as it's only the back end. No, I will grow extra muscles and I will pick you up and carry you. Maybe I'll build a papoose and strap you to... Does a papoose go on the back or the front? There's two ways of strapping a baby to you, either on your back or on your front. I think papoose is the one on the front, but I don't know where I'm knowing that from or why I'm knowing that. Hold on, whoa, hold on. I think I was on, I'm going to go right back to the beginning, folks. Just bear with me. I think I was just on Top Chat and there's a load of messages I haven't even... I've accidentally, correctly gone to All Chat or whatever it's called. And now there's... Look at this. Look, there's... Yeah, no, sorry, Frank. I did not see the ginger infused cider comment. Love to send you some ginger infused cider sometime. I would love to drink some ginger infused cider. I made ginger beer back here a couple of years ago. Now that I know it was a couple of years ago. I thought it was only 1 year ago, but I learned that earlier. I've been here longer than I thought. I'm working forwards. I have seen a lot of these. Try say, oh, okay. When I was guessing how to say Nedobity, Frank Nedobity would be what I would go with. But sometimes I'll get the stress wrong and say it different. And of course, depending on where you're from, you might stress the different syllables differently. Some countries, the definition of syllables is different as well. Whether you start on the vowel or you start on a consonant and call that a syllable, and where you end. Yeah. So the Spanish, when the Spanish see the word closed, the English word closed, and we just read that kind of left to right, closed, they go closed, and it's, they emphasize a consonant starts, a syllable starts with a consonant and ends on a vowel before the next consonant. And so Cloth said, and I find it quite awkward to kind of listen to. But it's sort of melodic in its own way. Yeah, drinking, I said, I got Heineken here, but I've also got this Emderbrouw, which arrived in my hand by mysterious circumstances. David Schofield, hello, David. I think I said hello, didn't I? You're down, was it Punta Prima? So is it raining there as well, David? I keep got the weather forecast, folks. The weather forecast. Fuck. Here we go. Somebody remember whatever I was just talking about, because I'm about to go off on one, and there will be tangents from tangents from tangents, but eventually we've got to come back to where we just were. Otherwise, why are we here? So it stopped raining earlier. It was raining at some point while we were doing the TrampCast earlier. And I got a thing on my phone saying, it's going to stop raining in the next hour or so. And I look ahead 5 or 6 hours, shows a little graph, a little bar graph of how much rain each hour. And you've got the hour that we're in and it's whatever it is. And then it's empty everything after. So you think, oh, okay, it's going to stop. And every hour for the next 6 hours is empty. Here we are. And it's been raining for the last, I don't know, 2 hours. Where was that on the graph? Your fucking graph that said it's raining now, it's going to stop, and no rain. No. Half an hour later, the bar graph updates, and every hour ever since, it's been like 50% chance of even more rain than the one before. What is the point of a forecast where you have to wait while halfway through the hour to see what their prediction for that hour is? Can you hear the rain? To me, it's bloody annoying. I kind of rely on the forecast. When it tells me it's going to stop raining now and there's no more rain for the next 6 hours, and then half an hour later it says, oh, twice as much rain next hour as this hour. What? A little bit annoying. So guys, these are all just, apart from the Heineken that I just finished, these are all cheap lagers. Store's own brand. 5% or thereabouts. Some of them I think are 4.8. What's this one? Oh, this one's a weak one. This one's only 4.5. When Anthony brought the Heineken earlier, I had to look at it. It took me like 5 minutes to find where it said on the can what the strength was. Because I always remember me and the father-in-law going out shopping the first time I came over here with them. You know, the comma rather than the decimal point. It threw me. And we just picked these things up. I saw the 5 and we took them home. The 12 pack of 0.5% Heinekens. What the fuck? Do you know that in the UK, if you buy a can of shandy, like you're on your way to school in the morning and you buy a can of shandy, it's stronger than 0.5. And they're allowed to be off by a whole 1 percentage point when they label them as well. So that kind of shandy that you buy for your kid on the way to school could be as much as 1.5% alcohol. Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, I was ranting about weather forecasts. Where was I before that? I was looking through the list. Okay, for that. So Frank saw the text that said TrampCast rather than my head in the middle. You got the proper. You got the proper. What's the word I'm looking for? Thumbnail. Karen says hello everyone, and Jack Attack says hello Karen. Glad you're not lurking. Tina's such a sweetheart. She is, but she's a heavy sweetheart. 30 kilograms, and I'm carrying the back end, so probably somewhere between 10 and 15. And it's an unstable 15 kilograms. What have I been doing today? Asks Gary Mountain Camp. Planning for TrampCast, more or less. No, my morning was my own. I'll be honest. My morning was my own, and even writing up the notes and whatever for TrampCast wasn't too difficult because it was all done last week. Last week I sat down, and the usual 2 hours that writing the TrampCast notes might take, I was done. I think I wrote the notes for one TrampCast in about an hour and a half. And instead of stopping and treating myself to a video about something and then not really getting on with things, I got straight on. I made the thumbnail, I created the stream, and then I sat down and I wrote out 3/4 of the notes for the next week. So today I only had to write up something like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then the numbers round, the numbers section. I had to try and dry the book out because the book was wet through. That was suboptimal. But speaking of which, this next week I'm going to try and get caught up. That means doing 3 TrampCasts, I think. We got up to we did up to the 30th today, didn't we? Today's the 40th. So the 7th and the 4th and the 30th, the 6th and the 13th we're missing. And then next Sunday will be the 20th. So I got to get 2 extra in during the week, and then be ready for the Sunday at the end of this week. I far prefer talking about the week that just happened. Trying to talk about something from 3 weeks ago, where my only real recollection is the notes, and maybe they'll trigger a memory of some side topic to waffle on about. How the hell did I go for 3.5 hours today, folks? When I first looked at that page of notes, I didn't remember any. I'd got no idea what was there. So all I was doing was reading. So whatever questions you were asking, whatever comments you were making, whatever tangents you triggered in me, I thank you. Thank you, thank you. I am going to try and sit up a little bit. I'm slouching. I'm sat. Somehow, I'm uncomfortably sat on top of a pillow that shouldn't be there. But I think, yeah, this end of my bed, under the pillows, is if not wet, it's fucking damp. And a lot of the bedding is moist. I know I've got people out there that don't like the word. Tough. I just used it. I'd already used damp. I didn't have anywhere else to go. Sorry. But, yeah. But how? This happens sometimes. Oh, I'm trying to keep a spot and I've just lost it. Where were we? Pallets below. Yeah, pallets have been suggested a few times. Do you fish, Frank asked. I saw that. No. And it's bad because a bloke called Andy from Something Hill Farm. Sorry, Andy. It's in the description. If you look in the description and you look in the friends of the channel, I think he's still there. Andy, Mountain View Farm. Mountain View Farm. They sell their produce. You can ring up and have a delivery of a big plastic box of their organic produce. And he gave me a free box last year just before the police came, and there were still remnants. The cops stole the box and the last 2 or 3 bits of veg in the bottom. Bastards. Sorry, Andy. Mountain View Farm. So if you're in the area, folks, I think you have to be within the details are in the description. It's a 15 or 20 kilometer radius of whatever it is. But here or hereabouts. You got to be here. He brought me 2 fishing rods. After he brought me... So if you've ever watched the channel, Scottish Couple in Spain, Barry came around and interviewed me and put me out on his channel. Some of you might have come from via that interview. And he came back a few days later and he brought Andy, and Andy brought me this crate of veg. And we were talking, and somebody said, "Oh, you should fish." And I know nothing about fishing. Joby, that was here in the field at the same time, the other English bloke, has fished before, but only rivers, never the sea. And so Andy brought us these 2 rods, and we went out and tried, and a bag of all the equipment, loads of hooks and lures and weights and floats and I don't know, whatever the wire's called, fishing line, technical term, wire. And we had to go. But the coast here is it's all rocks. It's all rocks and seaweed and vegetation on the bottom. And basically, every second time we cast out, we had to cut away the hook and the line. And you don't like to do it because it's bad for wildlife, isn't it? Having lots of line just lying around out there for things to get tangled up in and to swallow. But we had no option. That the sea was so rough and the rocks and it was just getting caught up. So no, I've never fished properly. And the one time I did try, I was with a bloke who has fished before, fair play, fished before, but calm little rivers in England, not rocky, shitty vegetation. And of course we had Tina with us, who won't go anywhere near water. The rocks are all covered in slime and not algae, mosses and seaweeds and things. It was all rather awkward. I did go for a little swim afterwards. I think that's the only time I've been for a swim here at the sea from the camp. Went in the sea at Santa Pola. Been in the sea in Torrevieja when they had a little dog beach there. That was experimental. They got rid of the dog beach, and now me and my doggy can't even get there anyway. So no. Frank said I have absolute freedom. Apart from when the police lock me up, give me a criminal record and a €450 fucking fine. Yeah, apart from that, I've got freedom. And no money, apart from the grift on the internet. My e-begging, as I call it. Okay, we covered Frank and his what's the word? Ancestry, I guess. Jack Attack Jack Attack saying every time I take a drink he's cheersing me. Okay. Some of the Scandies come south this time of year. They think they want it warmer, but then they suffer and go back. Yeah, the intelligent ones coming winter and go back home once it gets. Because your winters are quite your summers are surprisingly warm, from what I can gather. Especially given how far north you are. Although the majority of you are at the southern end of your different peninsulas and whatever the words are. Yeah. The Sami and what have you that are really far north, the reindeer herders, they're not jumping on planes coming to Spain, are they? I'm not meeting the ones from north of the Arctic Circle. Although I did meet a few Finns actually who were maybe not that far north, but The other Finns were like taking the mick out of them and calling them kind of backwoodsmen. And they were very aggressive, especially after a few beers. I was talking to a couple one day. There's a bar called... What's it called? Pink something or other. I got a t-shirt from them. In the centre of town. Pink... Was it Think Pink? No. Maybe. Possibly. I was sat talking to this couple who were both in scooters. Disabled. Older couple. And I'm talking to them, and I went into the loo at one point and got a beer on the way back out, like you do. And when I came out, this couple had stopped. They stopped talking to me. We're sat at the same table, but they're just not talking. And this guy on the next table had come over, and while I was gone inside, he'd come over and worded them. What are you doing talking to the fucking foreigner? This is a Finnish bar. Da 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 da. And when I got a hint of what was going on, the way he was looking over, and I turned to him and said in Spanish, have we got a problem? And challenged him. And he started, I'm a boxer. I said, that's good, because so was I. Let's go. Oh, I've got a bad, I broke my hand the other week. No, I can't, not at the minute. Yeah, okay, pal. Right. Hero. Bullying an older couple into not talking to the foreigner was basically what he was saying. While he sat in fucking Spain. Don't talk to the foreigner. Mate, you're the fucking foreigner. Okay, Frank didn't do the 23andMe thing. It's family history. I am way behind. I'm going to have to... Yes, yeah, David says it's raining down in Ponte Prima kind of area. Okay. Yeah, the weatherman can be wrong 100% of the time and still keep his job. Yeah. Nobody else can be that wrong. I'm not plugged in at the minute. Actually, you just reminded me. Oh, I'm okay for power right now. Clicky sound again. No, not plugged in. I did get it up to 100% before we started. There's no reason it should be clicky except for the phone, the microphone, or maybe the rain itself. But I think you can tell the difference between the rain and clicking, electronic clicking. So I don't know. Top deck. Lost me. Give me a clue. There's a reference I'm missing somewhere. Top deck sounds familiar. Was it a product? Was that a beer or something at some point? Top deck. Top trumps, I remember. We can talk about that for a while. Yeah, knowing what the weather's going to do before it does it is always useful, Frank. If I knew it was like if it was going to hammer it down really hard for a long time, I would be out there, or would have been out there earlier, pulling the tarp tight so more of the water runs off and doesn't pool and sit there. I'm really surprised it hasn't started dripping in already. And I just reached up for my head torch and it's not there. Because it looks daft and I took it off before we started. Or just as we started. Just give me a second. I'm just going to look at the roof and make sure that I'm not missing. You know, there's water running on the outside of the bedroom. So inside the tent. But outside of the bedroom. But nothing dripping through so far. So we're alright. We're alright for now. But yeah, it's always better to know what's happening weather-wise ahead of time. John Aldwinkle is on Stella. That's good. That's a good beer. Although I'm a bitter drinker historically. Just Spain doesn't have it. It does. It just costs a fortune. Gary used to drink Special Brew. You're a hardy man. We had this discussion the other week, wasn't it? Carlsberg Special Brew, yeah? Carlsberg rather than Carling. Carlsberg Special Brew. What was that? 10% or something? It was loopy juice. Going through chat, yeah. Frank drinks 13.9% by volume, down as low as 7.5. So what are we on? Is that a wine? Or maybe we've had this conversation. I had a conversation recently about barley wine versus beer, which are the same thing, except when it gets a certain strength, it can't be called beer anymore, under English law. When it comes to you. Now I'm seeing messages that are so out of context to me. They must be about something I've talked about. Write when it comes to you. Writing helps more than typing. Writing notes, okay, yeah, okay. Yeah, when I was at uni and it came to trying to learn things, I always found the best way. Obviously, you read the paragraph or the chapter, whatever. Sorry, you read the chapters first. But then, if you want it to really stick, summarize it in writing. Write down a couple of sentences about the opening paragraph, a couple of sentences about the summary, the closing paragraph, and a couple of little bits about the main points in between. And you can summarize a whole chapter of a book in somewhere between half a page or a page of writing. And because you've written it, it just sticks that much more. I used to revise, I used to do, can I say this? I think I can say this. I could not bother with a university course all year. And if I gave myself 2 nights before the exam, summarise the entire textbook in the way I've just described, and pass with a grade of 75, 80%, whatever. If it was maths, then I'm 95 and above, 95% and above. And I deliberately put a lot of my electives on my degree. I picked mathematics and statistics, that sort of related stuff. It just bumps your average up. When they're coming to mark your overall degree, if 5 of your units you're scoring 95% and above, and your essays are in the mix with everyone else's in that 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, you never escape that bracket with an essay. So if your coursework, if 50% of your units mark was from essays, you're going to have scored 70, 75, 80. Never above, never outside 80, rarely below 70 really for me, but so that, and when they're just averaging things out, if you've got units that are scoring 70, 75, and then you've got units where you're 95 and they average them, you're coming out way above. You're getting scores that are just impossible for someone that picks units that are all done with essays. You just can't score that high. You can't write an essay and score 95%, and you certainly can't in an elective in one of your units that is all based on essays and then the final exam. You can't look back at the end of the year and average 90, 95%. That's just unheard of. But if it's a maths unit, you're fucking away. Fill your boots. As long as you actually understand it and can get the score, I would sit there and mark my own exam. I would at the end of the exam, especially we had some that were multiple choice. Can you believe? Now they were more difficult than you think. But I would sit there and I would write my own guess at the mark. Yeah, got that one, got that one, got that one, got. I'd go through and I'd say, okay, 50% of them I definitely got right. Of the others, 30%, I've narrowed it down to 1 of 2. And of the others, I'm guessing, and it's, anyone from 5. And you can guess at your own mark. And I was never more than a couple of percent off, the odd mark off here or there. Maths. I loved my maths when it came to uni. But yeah, writing notes, always writing notes. Adam's on the whiskey. Quesque. Quesque. Have you seen how the Spanish spell whiskey? With Q's. W only exists in the Spanish language to accommodate foreign words. No Spanish word has a W in it. Hence, their Royal College comes up with alternate spellings for some foreign words. So whiskey ends up being spelt with Quequi or something. Quesque. Quesque. Karen had pallet. Oh, from your new construction. Yeah, I used to have. I had 8 or 9 of those big, like jigsaw puzzle shaped floor tiles, big spongy, foamy floor tiles that you would put down in like a nursery for kids to play on the floor. I was walking along one day and there was this pile, I think 8, and I've still got one here under the door. I've got like a mini pallet type thing in the doorway, and I've got one of these foam things under it. But back when the police came and stole all my things, the other 7 as part of what got taken away. Because fireproof foam rubbers are fire risk, folks, when you put it in a field. Just like bottles of water are a fire risk. Green plastic garden furniture, fire risk. A vacuum flask, fire risk. So the police come and just take it all away. They steal it all from on private property that they've got no say on at all, with no paperwork, no receipts, no nothing. They stole all my belongings. 4 chairs, a table, 2 recliners, 2 sunbed type things, a gas barbecue and 2 gas bottles, 1 empty, 1 less than half full, that need to get to 450 degrees and be full to the brim. They need to be full to the brim and basically sat inside a house fire to have any risk of popping off. But the sun's shining on it, fire risk. My knives, forks, pans, plates, guess what? Fire risk. Yeah. Well, Frank was enjoying the story of me fishing. That we got to the end of it. It was an utter failure. Cutting away the line all the time, and I was getting embarrassed, and I was worried for wildlife. You don't want to be leaving, cutting away line that you then can't retrieve, and it's got hooks on the end, and yeah, no, it was... You can hear the rain coming down, yeah. Think Pink, big court case and scandal in Sweden last year. Tell me more. I don't know. Think the bar I'm thinking of, I think it was called Think Pink. It's in the middle of Torrevieja on one of the 2... I had an apartment that ran between 2 roads. When you look at a map of Torrevieja, a street map, and you look at the centre, you will see all of the blocks, are a certain width. The roads are a certain width apart. And then you'll see 2 really close roads, just a tram line with a thin bunch of apartments running in between. One was Calle Fuensanta, and the other escapes me. It used to be the bottom right-hand corner of the market when the market was in town. I could look out of the apartment, look up the road, and there was the bottom end of the market. But if you went down the road, crossed Calle Habaneros, no, it's not Calle, Avenida Habaneros, Avenue Habaneros. Carry on down halfway towards the coast, and there was this bar, and it is predominantly Finnish. The lady that ran it was English, but married to a Finnish bloke. No, that's not right. Other way around. She was Finnish with an English bloke because he'd been in the Royal Navy. That's right. But they aim for a predominantly Finnish customer base. Always have ice hockey and floorball. Tell me, folks, apart from the Scandies, who's ever heard of a fucking sport called floorball? Thomas is going to know it, obviously, but the rest of you. So you know proper hockey with a ball and a hockey stick, jolly hockey sticks. Well, imagine that, but the ball is one of those ones with all the holes in. It's like an aerated ball that can't go too fast because air slows it down. And instead of a hockey stick, you're hitting it with, I don't know how to describe it. So picture a lacrosse. You know lacrosse, you got the stick up and then you've got the two branches come out and the net in between. Well, imagine that, but plastic, but with the holes in again. So when you swish through the air, yeah, it's air resistance is slowing your bat down, and air resistance is slowing your ball down, and this is indoors. I've seen something similar called whiff waff, which probably tells you all you need to know. But these guys take this really seriously. I'm gonna try and scoot right down to the bottom. I don't think I can stick right in the. I'm gonna. Ball bag will be out of context. It will. I know it's a scrotum, but top deck with Shandy. Okay, yeah, okay, yeah, okay. The noise cancellation is wreaking havoc. Is this the popping and clicking? Is that what you're talking about? Am I getting too loud and too close to the microphone? Maybe I can make things better by putting it further away. Oh, now the rain stopped. Maybe we can be top. I knew the name Top Deck. I knew I recognized it. I couldn't place it. Yeah, proper beers, IPA, what I would call bitter. I don't think there's any maybe the campaign for real ale nerds will tell me there's a difference between bitter and India Pale Ale IPA. But as far as I understand it, once upon a time all beers were black. They wanted to make some beer and ship it off to India, so they had to change the recipe. That's why it was called pale ale. It was brown, not black, so it was pale. Even though it might be a dark brown, pale compared to black. We call it bitter. Technically, they call it India Pale Ale because it was a different recipe brewed to be sent to India. Frank Nadobity says, let's hear it, Mike. And I'm so far behind, I don't know. I haven't got context. Shandy Bass. Still get that. Let's have a look. Burska. Where's Burska? Sounds familiar, like I should know it. What should be around the corner from somewhere I've lived? I'm scrolling. Oh yeah, mulled wine used to, okay, David. Mulled wine used to be made with a red hot poker put into the rather than like boiling it on the stove or whatever. You'd put it in like punches and things like that. You put it in your glass and then you take the poker out of the fire and just dip the the red hot end in the drink. Yeah, no, it was very common. I watch a channel online on YouTube, Townsend's or Townsend's, I would pronounce it, but I'm trying to make it so you can spell it. Townsend's, and he's big on the US after the Revolutionary War, as they would call it, the War of Independence. So 1776 onwards is his main theme, but it's just how the normal people lived, what they cooked, what they had, what was available to them, how did they build things, what machinery or what tools did they have available. Covers all that kind of stuff. And yeah, drinks, when you get to December, or November onwards, I guess, because Thanksgiving and all that. Yeah, drinks and how to warm them, how to warm your winter alcoholic beverages with the poker. It's a common enough topic. Never had a cold, yeah. Adam says whiskey kills germs, so we have to have a few to test this theory. I tested that theory during COVID. I will let you know that I never got COVID. We're not going off on conspiracy theories. Let's not just do that. But I just, it was appropriate. It was apropos with what was being discussed about whiskey. My mum always used to say, again, it was a warm drink, not boiling, but a hot whiskey and hot water. It came out the kettle, but it was mixed with room temperature whiskey. So it was hot, but she'd gargle with that whenever she had a sore throat. And she only had 10 sore throats a day. Joking. Sorry, Mum. Blackberry brandy. I would say that's the brandy element rather than the blackberry, but you know. Whiskey is a known anti-inflammatory. I don't know, mate. When I sip it, I was going to say raw. That's not the word I was looking for. Neat. It feels like it's inflaming something. Bit like the time that I accidentally inhaled brandy on honeymoon. I've told this one, but I had my brandy in a brandy glass, held in the palm of my hand. The palm of your hand's meant to heat the glass and the drink, and you get the vapors. So I was trying to sniff and I was breathing. You breathe in the warm air, and it circulates, and then you inhale it back out, and you enjoy you get that burn in your throat just from the vapors. I tilted the glass too far and inhaled, and I snorted brandy. I don't believe that it's anti-inflammatory. Not when you snort it, at least. I think all three came through in the end, Adam, but with varying delays. Yeah, something went wrong. Floorball. What did I say? Floorball. What did I say? Whiff waff airball or something. I don't know. But yeah, floorball. I don't know. I don't know what countries play it, but the Scandinavians seem to take it really seriously. Maybe because it's like a practice hockey. I don't know. I'd never even heard of the damn thing. Thomas watches Townsend's as well. Okay. Using alcohol so that you can eat expired meats. That's probably works. Yeah. The other, you just cook it well though. That probably works. Have you seen my video where I ate bacon that was only 9 months out of date, and no refrigeration in that 9 months, or probably the 12 months I had it? It was probably in date when I got it. Hot toddies, yeah. Yeah, you can tell when whiskey's working. Jack's a picture of a nose. Yeah, okay. Oh, have you ever drunk so much that the room spins? Oh, I I didn't know it at the time, but I had an ear infection, But it had not become that apparent at this time, and I'd had a few beers, and I'd gone to the loo, and I was literally holding on to like two walls. I was in the corner holding both, and the room was spinning. And I was thinking, I've only had like, I don't know, three beers, let's say. It shouldn't be this. What's going on? And about a week later, I eventually went to the doctor's, and I'm sat in the doctor's waiting room. Only, I think, the second time in my adult life. Sat in the doctor's waiting room. The doctor comes out and calls me, and I stand up, and my wife's with me. I stand up, and I aim to walk towards the doctor, who's like dead ahead there, and I hit that wall over there. And the doctor's like, "Okay, ear infection, yeah." um, yeah, you could say. And for the next 2 weeks, I was putting these. They were alcohol drops. It was just alcohol I was putting in my ears. I'm sure there was a I think antibiotic, but also just I'm dipping vodka in my ear. Vodka and vinegar. I could smell them. Yeah, a little pipette. Not pipette. The one with the teat on the end. A pipette you just put your finger on and lift, don't you? But you know what I mean. I haven't got the words. I haven't got the vocabulary. Holding onto the floor is a little bit next level from holding onto the walls, I guess. But yeah, okay. Hot bath. Well, I haven't had a hot bath in 20 odd years. I mean, who gets a bath, hot or not anymore? Who don't we all just shower when we? I mean, I'm in a field. I get a flannel and some cold water and some imperial leather. Thank you, Karen. I'm not a liquid soap kind of guy, folks. I'm just not. A liquid soap is that's anathema to me. At a push, I'll go fairy liquid, which I guess is liquid soap. Um, but hot bath. I know Jack Attack doesn't do whiskey, even though he's a Scotsman. The Romans knew the benefits of a hot bath. According to modern thinking, that's because they were all gay. I don't know. Maybe that's just modern. The message. I'm saying things I shouldn't be saying, aren't I? Hot bath while drinking brandy or whiskey. I mean, yeah, hot bath's gonna open up all the what's the word? The circulatory system, the arteries and the veins. I don't know. I could imagine that alcohol on top of that might be a bad idea. You're certainly going to feel it if that's what you mean. I mean, if you're wanting to get the benefits of the alcohol, that's gonna do it. Oh, Thomas is on his way out. Catch you later, Thomas. Have a good time with your family, my friend. Towel whipping, yeah. I'm more manly than you. Gay. Right, I caught up, folks. I was so far behind with chat, and I've managed. I probably glossed over half of it, and for all I know, I could have. Hold on, that's to end it. There's not a button to make chat go away. Considering that I have so much trouble making chat stay normally. Oh, there it goes. Okay, there it goes. And there's a button. I am on live chat. I haven't missed anything. Everything's there. Apologies for being behind with a lot of it, folks. I was behind. Thank you for joining me this evening. I got to say, I wasn't expecting so many people to take me up on the offer of a TrampCast Hangout, and especially when I did it a little bit later than usual. I think the other ones have been 10 o'clock, 10:30. But by the time I got sorted out there after the 3-hour proper TrampCast earlier, I wanted to just sit down, have a break, and then maybe try and find a few topics to talk about, which I more or less failed at. I've got a couple in mind. One of which relates to something that we mentioned during the TrampCast. We talked about jaywalking in America. I haven't got a full definition of what it is. Marked crossings you're okay on, where there's no marked crossings within a certain number of blocks. So if there's no marked crossing on your block, but the end of the next block's got a crossing, you're supposed to walk kind of 2 blocks that way and use that one. And in some places and some circumstances, you can cross the road, but you must do it at a junction and go directly 90 degrees across. But I follow a few of these channels online, these like auditors and lawyers in America and civil rights lawyers. And there's one whose channel is called The Civil Rights Lawyer. And he just did a video today that's absolutely incredible. Cop is driving along and he sees a guy just walking along like the side of the road, footpath, whatever. And says to him, "What's your name?" It's like, you're under no obligation to just give your name just to a random cop. When you watch these channels, you realize that American cops getting their ID is it's like crack. It's all they're bothered about doing. If you say, "Why?" "Well, I don't know who you are." And your answer should be, "Well, that's okay. There's fucking, 8 billion people that you don't know who they are. What's one more?" You don't have an automatic right to just know who everybody is. And then he says, "I just saw you jaywalk." And the guy's like, "No." "What are you talking? I haven't crossed the road. I'm walking along the road. I'm on the footpath where there is one, a sidewalk where there is one, and where there's not, then yeah, I'm going that way." And the cop gets out all aggressive. The guy gets a bit worried and starts backing away. Cop starts running towards him aggressive. So the guy runs. Cop pulls out his taser and tries to tase the guy. And it goes wrong. It doesn't, one of the barbs doesn't, if both barbs don't stick in, you don't get the current flowing through, you don't get the tase. So the guy takes the taser off the cop and tases the cop. Now, bear in mind, this is alleged jaywalking. The cop's shouting, "I've got proof, it's all on camera." It's not on the footage at all. There's no footage of the guy crossing the road. So you immediately start to doubt the cop's version of events. And the cop's all tasing someone. Before you use physical force, you have to be able to justify it based on the seriousness of the crime and various other factors. The risk to the public if he gets away. Whether he's a danger to the cop. Well, it's jaywalking. There is no seriousness. If the guy gets away, there's no risk to the public that he might jaywalk some granny to death. I mean, that's just not a thing. So there's no... And the lawyer goes through the, the legal analysis of whether the use of force is justified. It's just clearly not. But then, after the cop's been tased, and in America, you're allowed to defend yourself against an illegal arrest. So the guy's done nothing wrong at this point, even though he's tased the cop. But the cop's colleagues start to arrive, and they just take this guy's word for what's happening, and they lay into him. The cop says, "He's tased me. Get the bastard, light him up." And instead of tasing the guy on the floor, the other cop takes his taser, turns it around, and pistol whips the guy twice, and then punches him a number of times in the head on the floor, even though the guy's been on the floor all along. Like from the off. Almost. Like from the moment the cop grabbed him, he's been on the floor. Defenseless, more or less, apart from when he was tased and it didn't work. He took the taser off the guy and so these guys all lay in and others come along and then they start asking the original cop, okay, we've beat him up. What's this all about? Well, he jaywalked. And they're like, what? I just smashed the guy around the head with a. They don't say it, but the reaction, it's obvious. You know, the guy who's just pistol whipped him twice and smacked him around the head a number of times is like, I just did that because you told me that, and it jaywalking. And they all start looking at each other. And then they do the cop thing and they've got to cover, haven't they? They've got to, how are we going to spin this? How are we going to pull it together? So when the report gets written up, it turns out that the guy had got a criminal record. He has got, I think they said 6 convictions for some, bits and pieces. Obviously nothing serious, otherwise he wouldn't be out. But they build that into the why we stopped him, why we beat him up. It's clearly demonstrable they didn't know any of this at the time. They found this out a day later. And I have a streak of not trusting authority. And once you start watching these things, you quickly realize you don't know what the fuck they're doing. I mentioned the one in the TrampCast proper earlier. I mentioned the one where the guy asked someone to clarify what they were saying by first asking them to repeat it. When he didn't understand it a second time, he asked them to speak more clearly or find alternate words. This gets reported to a cop who comes along and starts talking about hate crimes and hate speech. And we're going to have to investigate. This has a up to 7 years in prison. What? What are you talking about? How have we got in multiple countries, in multiple parts of the world, how have we reached this point? How do we get to a place where the police are walking around looking for something to do you for continuously? And the policing of speech and thought, and I find it really frightening. I said earlier, I don't want to go over the same conversation I already have, but police are meant to carry cards, like business cards, and very rarely give them out. Oh, I haven't got one on me today. I've seen ones where the guy says it, and his colleagues are stood there, and the guy asks everyone else around for theirs, and then he'll say, well, okay, he hasn't got his card, what's his name? And one of them will go, oh, he's supposed to have a card. And then the sergeant says, give me a minute. And she takes him off and comes back with his card. Once they know that they're in the wrong, or once they think they might be in the wrong, and they start, it's unusual for that sergeant dropped him in it kind of thing. Whereas ordinarily they cover for each other like buggery. They just, some of the hoops they jump through to try and cover for the bloke who's in the wrong. When they walk around the back of the cop car and have a meeting, and they'll all turn their cameras off, their body cams, they all turn them off, and then they walk back out after the meeting and forget to turn them back on. Or it's recording video but muted because they wanted to have a conversation about how they're going to cover it up and not let anybody know how they're covering it up. They're fascinating. There's a bloke in England called the web channel's called the YouTube channel Crime Bodge, 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 all one word, Crime Bodge, he used to pick them apart, taking a few of them to court. He's not a lawyer, but brought private prosecutions against cops. Here's another way they cover in the UK. So you ask the Crown Prosecution Service to bring a case. The police won't do anything. You can appeal and ask the Crown Prosecution Service. They say no, there's no case to answer. So you bring a private prosecution. You get 3/4 of the way through the case, and then the Crown Prosecution Service step in, and they're allowed to say, "Oh, okay, we're going to take this case over. We've reviewed it. We're now going to proceed with this one." And you can't stop. You don't have to agree with them. They just take it over and take it out of your hands. Even though you paid for and brought a private prosecution, they can take it over at any point. And then what they do is they put forward the weakest case possible and get it dismissed. You went to the police, they did nothing. You went to the Crown Prosecution Service, they passed on it. You paid money and got a lawyer or barrister and brought the case. You're about to kind of go to court and presumably have a strong case with a good chance of winning. But the Crown Prosecution Service says, "Oh, you've got a good case there. We've reviewed it and now we're going to take over." And then they put forward a weaker case than you would have and lose. What the absolute fuck is that about? And you don't get your money back from having started the private prosecution. What you've spent, you've spent. And you can't say no. You can't deny them. You can't stop them. You can't say, "Actually, no, I'm doing all right on my own. I'd rather carry on, thanks." No. This is what I've said about courts in the past. It's not just the police. It's the prosecution. So lawyers, prosecutors, defenders, and judges are all part of the same clubs. They have Christmas parties together. They go to each other's houses for dinner parties. You know, they're entertaining. They're the same club, really. They have these gentlemen's clubs and things where they'll go and meet each other anyway. But when I say they're in the same club, I mean they're in the same profession. They're in the same line of work. They're in the same building all day, every day, or big chunks of it. They all know each other. They have little conferences and say, "Oh, I let you win the last one. Maybe you let me win this one." And they strike deals and bargains, and they're not working in your best. The guy you're paying isn't working in your best interests necessarily. And they all go to the same Christmas party. They holiday together sometimes. Accidentally end up in the same resort at the same time. Yeah. And you're trusting these guys with whether you get a €500 fine or 3 months in jail. Yeah, fighting corruption in the police. They cover for each other. They cover for each other. We're constantly told about the bad apple in the barrel. No. In a barrel, one apple goes bad and the other apples kind of don't really want to. They get infected over time. When you look at these cases, like I'm talking about, this one today, where the guy tries to tase the cop and the other guy pistol whips him, and others come in and beat him up, and then when they hear that the initial suspicion, the initial suspicion was jaywalking, and then what do you think those other three then say? "Oh, whoops, we've gone too far. You were wrong to tell us to pistol whip him. This is all over nothing. You're the bad cop. This shouldn't have happened. How dare you put my career on the line because of your misinforming me about what was happening?" That's what they should say. It's not what happens. They get together. They have a confab. They talk about Do you want to call it obstruction? Do you want to call it, oh, obviously he's assaulted a police officer. Oh, he resisted arrest. When he was taken to ground, he wasn't even under arrest. He was detained. A detention is when you ask, "Can I leave?" and they say, "No, you can't. You got to stay. I want to find out what's gone on." You're being detained. It's an investigatory detention. This guy took him to the ground violently, then tried to tase him. Jaywalking. The fuck? I mean, I'm not American, so the entire concept of jaywalking is difficult. Adam and Mel are off to bed. Have a good night, folks. Where are we? An hour and 20. Yeah, we might go an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours if I can find things to talk about, folks. Keep me chatting. Anyone who's new here, anyone who's just popped in, I don't know, maybe you're curious and don't know who or what's what. I am a homeless guy, what you might call a tramp. I'm an Englishman, trapped in Spain by circumstance. My tent is falling apart. We've had bad weather. Been a little bit better recently, but it's back raining again today. I did a thing called what I call a TrampCast earlier today, which is where I talk about my week. We're a few weeks behind because of the bad weather. But I got in the mood, so I thought I'd do just a hangout, just a chat, a chill out stream with you guys. Chat is nominally for subscribers only, but you can subscribe now, wait 1 minute, join in, and you can unsubscribe tomorrow if you want, no problem. It's an anti-spam measure on my part mainly, but hey, if it makes you subscribe and you stay subscribed, I'll take that as well. But yeah, Adam and Mel, see you later. Frank needs a toot session. I'm not a herbalist. I'll do it. I'll cheers you. Cheers to you guys, the subscribers, and to any unsuspecting hapless folks who might have just walked in on us along the way. Cheers to you guys. And if you're not a subscriber, the button's probably down there somewhere. I think the screen gets reversed. I'm fairly sure it does. Cheers, Jack Attack. Okay, guys, anybody got any topics? I can go on and on and on about my resistance to authority. Often gets mistaken for being anti-police. I think I've told you about the two guys that used to help me and who now don't talk to me anymore and have blocked me across all social media. The two guys that gave me, you remember when if you've been here long enough, I had two small solar panels once upon a time and a battery and solar charge controller. Yeah, no, I didn't like the way I talked about the police after the piggies robbed all my stuff. So thought I was anti-police. What do I say next? I feel like ranting to prove how not anti-police I am. I'm against bad policing. Policemen who make up laws on the spot, or policemen who just don't know the laws. If I know more about the law than the policeman in America, for example, about reasonable articulated suspicion, reasonable articulable suspicion, and probable cause, and investigatory detention versus arrest, when you can demand ID, which in most states is only after arrest. In some states, it's that reasonable articulable suspicion. So you can stop someone and start to ask them stuff, but you can't just open with ID, which is what when you watch these videos, so many of them do. Uh, but my overall thought: if I know more about the law in a foreign country than the policeman whose job it is to enforce that law, then one of us is doing something wrong. Either I'm fucking dreaming, or that cop shouldn't be that cop. And you watch video after video after video. If you watch, there's a guy called Steve Leto, Lehto, does legal analysis about cases. Tends to focus on cars, but he is a lawyer, and so can talk about any other topic as well, and give you the overarching themes, even where it's not his state, and even where the laws are slightly different. He can talk in broad principles, or about the Constitution, which covers everybody in America, even visitors. If you go to a foreign country, and you can be like arrested for breaking their laws, then you get the same protections they do. That's international law. There are international treaties that cover that. So if I go to America and tell a cop to fuck off, that's free speech and First Amendment. And even though I'm not American, I still get that protection, because I could, if I punched someone on the nose, for example, to use an example I used earlier, I could still be arrested. I can't just tell that American policeman, oh, I'm not American, fuck off, your laws don't apply. If I can be arrested by your laws, then I get the same protections of your laws on the whole. Doesn't give me all of the rights of being a citizen, but all of the legal protections that would normally be available to anybody else, I get. So I can't vote. I don't just turn up on holiday in America in November and vote. It's not that. But all of the rules that can be applied against me, I get the benefit of all the rules that would be in my favor. So I love to watch these things about different countries, about the UK, about America. There are some Canadians. There's a guy. Oh, the first name's gone. Runkle of the Bailey. His real name, I think, is Ian Runkle, Runkle. And it's a pun of Rumpel of the Bailey, the British legal program from the 70s, I think it was. He might have started in the 60s in black and white. But Rumpole of the Bailey. So Runkle of the Bailey in Canada. And he's a Canadian firearms advocate and lawyer. I like watching that guy. Who else? European law is more complex and more complicated, but I'll learn what I can where I can from anyone I can in this stuff. And this is where my fascination is too strong a word. But these Americans that call themselves auditors, if you go and take photographs out in public or videos in public, and someone comes up and says, "You can't take my video. I haven't given you permission." You're in public. Police are walking around all the time videoing everybody. There are video cameras, surveillance cameras everywhere. If you're in public, you have no expectation of privacy, therefore you can be recorded. And that same principle follows through in loads of other countries. It's the same. There's no special law that allows the police to walk around with body cams recording everybody. They're using the same rules that we're under. You're in public, you can be recorded. It's that kind. So if I can be recorded while I'm in public, I can record you or the police or anybody else while they're in public. There are certain restrictions and exceptions. If a policeman is trying to do something particularly that needs privacy, if an ambulance is treating a wounded guy on the floor whose clothes have been ripped off by a bus or something, you know what I mean, a bad accident, you don't zoom in on his nether regions, or you know what I mean. You give people privacy where privacy would be expected, but where privacy is not expected, away you go. You don't stand in the street recording in through somebody's window into their house, into their living room. But if it's a shop window that you would normally stand outside and look in, then you can stand outside and recording. Those kind of rules and principles I've been absorbing for a few years now. And I watch those, they call them First Amendment auditors. But the thing's taken off in Britain as well. We have auditors. We don't have a First Amendment, obviously. But the name, the title of auditor, because a financial auditor is someone who's looking over the books, someone who's watching, someone who's like basically testing. Privacy is a great right when you're within your kingdom, when you're within your space, or if you're in public and you take steps to create privacy. So, for example, if you're wanting to have a private conversation and you ask someone with a camera, excuse me, mate, I just need to, I don't mind you recording in general, but we're just going to, there's something, a policeman wants to discuss something private with you and takes steps to create privacy, asks you to stand back while he takes 5 paces that way. He's trying to create privacy, and therefore the guy with the camera should respect that. So yeah, privacy is a great thing, but you don't have privacy just while you walk down the road, because that security camera outside that bank and outside that shop and outside everywhere, they're all recording you. You've already lost your privacy. The security camera on the ATM machine over the road that's recording, that's got you. The one on the traffic lights and the speed camera, they've got you. You've already lost it. So saying to the one guy who's visibly got a camera and that you object to, I want my privacy. You've already fucking lost it. Those other 20 cameras already took it. And they took it 25 years ago and you didn't bitch then, so shut up now. Kind of. Not quite that confrontational and in your face about it, but that's the legal principle. Yeah, if people want to be in private and have a private conversation and the important part is that they take steps to create privacy. Standing in the middle of the road saying, hey, fuck off, this is a private conversation. No. I had this at the bar in a pub once. 2 guys talking, and you know how you're at the bar, you overhear a conversation and you join in or you pass a comment or yeah, it's called a public bar for a reason. But if the guy turns around and says, excuse me, mate, we're having a private conversation, fuck off. No, you're not. You're talking out loud while stood at the bar in a public bar, in a public house. Public, in a public. You want to speak privately, go sit in a booth in the fucking corner. Or go step outside where no one else can overhear. How many times have you sat at a bar or in a pub or a cafe bar like here in Spain, you sat outside and there's people on the next table and they say something. They're talking about some woman who's just walked past or whatever. And you just lean over and kind of, yeah, oh, did you see the state of that? Well, hold on. Oh yeah. If you're like 2 people both in their houses on a phone call, yeah, you're both in private having a private phone call. That shouldn't be shared, really, should it? Unless, I think if you're talking to a business and they do that announcement at the start, your call is being recorded for training purposes, is what they always say. It's not for training purposes. It's so that if you sue them, if their operator says something or, yeah, we'll pay out your insurance claim. Don't worry, Frank. That heart transplant you need for $10 million, it's covered. And then they Welsh on it. You don't get access to that, but they've got that. Or if you say something that, yeah, I know I need a heart transplant, but it's my own fault. I was injecting drugs directly into my heart. That's not a real thing, but they've got the recording to use against you. You should, when you're speaking with a big business, you should record them. I should have recorded all the calls I had. Oh no, they weren't calls. They were WhatsApps. They are recorded. My WhatsApps with Labara when they tried to con me out of 50 cents a week for the next however long. rest of my life probably. Telling me that I'd signed up for a prize draw. I think if you're dealing with a business, you should be recording them. But a person to person, if you and your mum are talking, neither of you should be recording it and divulging it to other people afterwards. Private is private sometimes. Yeah. But if you sat on the bus, I had this one time. There's a guy there's a lady and her 10-year-old son, or roughly 10-year-old, sat next to her. They're not on the back seat of the bus, but they're almost there. And there's a guy on the back seat. Yeah, you should have seen the slag I got off with last night. Oh man, I was 3 fingers away and blah blah blah, and I fucked, and I'm up to this and I'm up to that, and I said, mate, shut up. Firstly, take the volume down, and secondly, none of us want to hear that. I'm not bothered how early on after you met her you got 3 fingers up whichever orifice. Just fuck off. Take it elsewhere. And he's like, do you mind? This is a private phone call. Mate, every fucker on the bus can hear you. There's a woman sat in front of you with a child. And you're talking about how many fingers you got where and what you did when. And he started getting, and I got angry. He got off at the next stop. I was going to tell the driver to pull over, and I would have got the driver to get him off. And if he refused, I would have helped the driver. But the guy got off at the next stop anyway. And the lady, even though I'd been a bit loud and a bit leery and maybe a bit sweary in telling him to shut the up, it was better than her son listening to what he'd been listening to at that point. Some people, do you mind it's a private phone call? Not when you're talking that loud on a bus where the other 25 people can hear you. Yeah, regular phone calls is one thing. You have basically, the situation you're in should have an expectation of privacy. You're in your own home on a private phone call with a family member. You don't expect that to be recorded and handed around to everybody else. You're in public, but you've stepped into a call box back when we had such things. You expect that to be private. You don't want to see someone with a glass up against the wall listening in on your call. There's an expectation that that's privacy. If someone's taken steps to create privacy, you're stood in a group and one of them walks 20 meters that way to have a call in, without you listening. They've created an expectation of privacy. You shouldn't be sneaking up on them to listen in on the call. Legend for people's rights. Not really. I just, the law is fascinating in whichever, in any country, in every country. If you said this to a lawyer or a judge, they would slap you down. But the law is a word game. It really is. It's an absolute word game. They will argue for hours and things will step up from the normal court to an appeals court, to a higher court, to a superior court in whatever jurisdiction you're in, and eventually to whatever the Supreme Court of your land is. And a lot of it will just turn on the meaning of a word. The classic one in America, let's say a non too educated individual gets arrested, and he starts refusing to ask questions. He's, I want a lawyer, dog. Now he's saying, I want a lawyer, dog, and he's just using the word dog as like amigo, friend, pal. I want a lawyer, mate. I want a lawyer, dog. The cops interpret this, well, they ignore his request for a lawyer. And as soon as you've asked for a lawyer, any questioning after that is illegal. They can make statements to you. Oh, you're going down for 20 odd years. And then if you start talking, it's admissible. because they didn't ask you a question. But dialect. But if they ask questions, that's against the. Is that the fourth? You got the fourth, fifth, and sixth. The fifth is the right to not self-incriminate. So that might. Once you've asked for a lawyer, anyway, you that's the sixth asking for a lawyer, isn't it? I don't know them all. I know what they are, but I don't know the number that goes with which. I don't know them all. Let's not overstate it. But anyway, this guy's basically saying, pal, I want a lawyer. I want a lawyer, mate. I want a lawyer, dude. But he said dog. I want a lawyer, dog. And the cops ignored it. It's a breach of his rights. Everything that he says after that should be ignored and thrown out. Fruit of the poison tree or poisonous tree, whatever the wording is. The cops and the prosecutor say, no, he asked for a lawyer, dog, and there's no such thing. There are no dogs that are lawyers. He didn't ask for a lawyer. He asked for a lawyer, dog. And because there's no such thing, well, we ignored the crazy request. When a crazy is asking for crazy, treat them like a crazy. And this went all the way to the Supreme Court. And they said the prosecution were correct. There's no such thing as a lawyer, dog. You tell me that the law is not a word game after that. It turns on the meaning of words. There are some rights you have after you've been arrested. And the question boils down, when do you know you've been arrested? And they'll say, well, when the cop says you're under arrest. But they'll often grab you and put you in cuffs before that happens. And then you get into all sorts of twists and turns about, yeah, but any reasonable person would know that he's been put in handcuffs, so he's under arrest. They'll arrest people nowadays who are under an investigatory detention, but they'll put the cuffs on for officer safety, or as I like to call it, officer cowardice. The 80-year-old grandma walking along a road pulling a shopping bag, and some cop picks her up, turns her over and pile drives her head first into the ground. Officer safety. This guy was like 7 foot tall and 8 foot wide and 10 foot on the belly that way. He picks this little grandma up and drops her on her head. Yeah. She was detained but wouldn't stop walking with her little shopping trolley. But officer safety. At what point did that little old lady know she was under arrest? She never was. No reasonable person would have known at any time they were under arrest. They tried to charge her with resisting arrest. Yeah, she got blood all over my shoes when her head split open. The prosecutor goes along with it. The prosecutor has a right. Good night, David. The prosecutor not has a right, has a duty to review the evidence before deciding to carry on. That sounds like golf speak. From Jack Attack. Rory McIlroy is the Masters champion. Now, nobody can convince me that the law isn't just a word game. And if you can twist a word in the right way, and most words have to take their normal everyday meaning unless they've been defined differently somewhere else in law as having a different meaning. And so you get these guys running around looking for a case where somebody else has brought a case or had a case and where a word has been interpreted differently. It's a word game. It really... Oh, look at this. Hold on. My lady's sat up. Let me check the... Okay, phone's on 59. We're okay for phone. Can we see her? Here she is. Hey, babe. Hey, babe. Say hello to the peoples. Say hello to Jack Attack. Who else is here? Frank's... Oh, look at that. My fairy light's just They didn't go off. They clicked down to a lower power stage, shall we say. Oh, I'm waving fingers in front of... Who else is here and talking now? David just left. Is it just Frank and Jack Attack? There are 10 people here still, but I only see you guys. I only see you two talking. Everyone else has left, I think. We're on our own, folks. Oh, we hit 145 where I said I might... Did I say I might quit 145? Or did I say 2? I might have said 2. I've lost some light from over there. Yeah, I'm not qualified to start giving actual real life legal advice, but if you think it's a false charge, then you got to find the right lawyer or read up on the relevant. Over in America, all of your laws are published, whether it's state or federal or local. All of your city ordinances, your city, state, federal, isn't it? They're all published. They're all there. Whatever the charge is, go look up the specific sections and subsections and clauses and whatever. You were close. The T's not wise, but yeah. But read them. And read them in a plain English way and see whether you think that, yeah, lawyers are expensive. Yeah, that's the thing. Because they know how to play the word game. That's all it is. What's the guy called that I used to follow online and he turned out to not quite be the kind of guy he said he was? Nick Ricator. Nick Ricator, what a superstar. In more ways than one. Ricator Suits, yeah. Suits was a good program. Harvey, what's his face? I was going to say Dent, but I don't think that's right. Isn't that the guy? Dent, that's one of the ones off Batman, isn't it? Is that the district attorney with the face in the acid? Okay, Thomas is in the background. He's been lurking. Wants to catch some of the chatter. What was Harvey's surname in Suits? And the other guy with the memory, eidetic memory. Mike. Mine's almost an eidetic memory. It's all in there. It just doesn't come back out when needed. The legal system is a word game. Cops are walking around just continuously looking for an excuse to charge you. Never let a policeman just walk up and say hello. At that point, you're engaged in what's called a consensual conversation. And it's only consensual if you consent. Just put your hand up, say, sorry mate, I'd rather not talk to you. And when he says, well, why not? Mate, did you not hear me? I do not want to engage in a consensual conversation with you. Goodbye and good luck. And brush them off. And turn a corner or something. And if he turns a corner as well, you're in harassment land. The 3 stages of talking with a policeman. Consensual contact. Hello, sir. Hello, how? It's a good day. How are you doing? Oh, where are you off to? They'll start with, where are you off to? Where have you been? Where have you come from? Fuck off. Where have I come from and where am I going? I don't tell that just to random cunts in the street. I'm certainly not going to tell it to the guy that's looking to lock me up. Fuck off. Then there's, hold on, sir. Stop there. You can't leave. You're detained. There's been a crime in the area and you fit the description. You got 30 seconds to explain the description to me, is what you say back. Tell me the description, and if it's too vague, I'm walking. Oh, it was a white man with a beard. Fuck off, I'm gone. 50% of the people here are white men with fucking beards. I'm out of here. Give me something specific. To detain me, you need a reasonable, articulable suspicion that I've committed a crime. I'm in the process of committing a crime or I'm about to commit a crime. 422. So I'll give you a 420. You see, I'm looking at, it says 149 here, but that's hours and minutes, isn't it? We're late. We're 4 minutes late with the cheers, with the 420. If I carry on at this rate, it will be 4:20 soon. So then you've got the detained, but they need reasonable articulable suspicion to detain you. And that's not just a hunch. Oh, you look like a wrong 'un. I'm going to stop you. Here's one for you Americans, if there's any still here. When a policeman says, take your hands out of your pockets, please, don't. The moment they're controlling they stop you for a consensual conversation. And then they start telling you where you can put bits of your body. Sit down over there. Put your hands in your pocket. Step back, please. As soon as they're asserting control over your body, that's a de facto detention. It's no longer a consensual conversation. They're trying to detain you. But they can't just detain you willy-nilly. As I said, there has to be reasonable articulable suspicion of a crime. Not just, you look suspicious. I've seen you doing something that might be part of a crime. You look like, I don't know, you've got a hammer in your hand and you were looking at a car window. That would be suspicious. You were walking past the car and you glanced in as you walked past. Not so much, because we all do that all the time. They do that all the time. So yeah, you need the probable cause. But once they start telling you, take your hands out of your pocket, officer safety, hands out of your pocket, do this, do that, step 2 meters back that way. No. I am not detained. I'm not under your control at this point. If you want to detain me, fine. And then I'm going to sue the arse off you because you've got no reasonable articulable suspicion. They don't actually have to tell you. So the suspicion has to be reasonable in the eyes of a judge. It has to be articulable, and the copper has to be able to explain it to a judge, not necessarily to you. You can't demand that they explain it right there, right then to you. But if you're recording, for example, and they don't explain it, you could assert that that shows a lack of articulableness, whatever. Pick your conjugation of that particular word. I'm not going there. But yeah, all of this, take your hands out of your pocket, do this, do that, step back 5 meters. No. You don't get to walk around just telling people where they can walk and what they can do and where to put their hands. Fuck off. You got to be further along the process before you're the boss of me. Anyway, I lose track of where I was. They can ask. Certainly they can request. Anybody can request anything of anybody at any time. Hey, missus, why don't you take your top off? We'll have some fun. You can request. You can't demand. You certainly can't demand with, or else I'm going to lock you up for 7 days. You know what I mean? It's that whole threat. This is everything that the state says to you comes with an implicit threat of basically violence. I'm going to drag you, I'm going to put you in handcuffs. I'm going to drag you away and kidnap you. I'm going to drive you away in a car. We're going to lock you in a concrete room with iron bars. That's violence. It's taking you out of your normal life, making you do things you don't want to do. It's violence. Everything the state does boils... If you were to just stand there, or else what, or else what, or else what, sooner or later you're going to get tased, punched, hit with a baton, potentially shot, and still get dragged away and incarcerated in some form. It's a monopoly. It's a monopoly. It's rightful when it's used in a rightful manner. Certainly. Like if a cop turns a corner and finds a guy murdering somebody and wants to hit him around the head with a baton, taser him and or shoot him, no objection from me. If he wants to turn the corner and allege that I just did that when I didn't, and now he's going to hit me on the head with a baton and tase me and shoot me, I'm maybe not so happy about it. Comes down to the rightful application. Yeah, okay, Frank. If you say what for, why do I need to take you? Now you're being belligerent. Now you're anti. They put you on a database as being adverse to cops. It's a thing they do in America. So that any future police contact, the cop is told, "Oh yeah, and please be aware this guy's adverse to cops. This guy doesn't cooperate with police. This is a wrong 'un. Watch yourself, guys. Maybe draw your pistol now. Undo the press stud." We were cut off again, guys. We were cut off. But yeah, the signal, the shout goes out. This guy's anti-police. Maybe unbuckle your holster, undo your holster so that you can get at your gun more readily if needed. It's just what they do. I do have an anti-authority streak. I've mentioned this before, though. I have definitely saved the lives of policemen in the past. Definitely one, and probably another, as part of a group that probably saved the life of another one. The first one, definitively, absolutely, I saved the guy's life. And I still got locked up overnight, and the cops still wanted to press charges against me, even after the cop whose life I saved walked into the station, thanked me, and shook my hand in front of everybody. His colleagues thought he was nuts, and they thought I was the one that had kind of bust his skull, and I put myself in great fucking danger that night. I faced up to, well, there were three of them. One of them backed away really quickly, and leaving two to deal with. Yeah. And then I looked after the cop and made sure nobody else came along and kicked his head in afterwards. And then the cops eventually took charge of the scene and immediately dragged me away, put me in handcuffs, and threw me in the back of a van. And the colleagues who were already in the van had a couple of quick digs while I'm face down on the floor in the back of the Black Maria. Oh yeah, they had a little dig. Cops, what can you do? It's like 4 or 5 hours later, this guy walks into the cop shop with his head bandaged, sees me being questioned, and walks over and shakes my hand and thanks me. What do you do? And the other cops are telling him, "Shut up, you're wrong, this is the guy that did it." He's like, "It wasn't a guy that did it. There were three of them." I'm still bitter about it, folks, and it's only, I was going to say 26 years ago. It's not, is it? Is it 36 years ago? 1989. How long ago was that? 89, 99, 09, 19. 36 years ago. Almost. Still a little bit bitter about it. I don't know. Anybody still out there? Yeah, not anti-police, but anti-corruption and anti... What's the word? Not so much corruption, but just ill-informed policemen making up rules and trying to just... The ones that don't de-escalate. The ones who come along and go, "Oh, come on then." The ones that escalate and that want trouble. Corruption, I think, is more financial or but the ones that are just out for trouble and they want to fight, they're bullies. Corruption doesn't feel like the right word. I'm not sure I've got a word. I don't have the vocabulary. I don't know, guys. I don't know. We're coming up on 2 hours. I think the numbers are dropping off. We're probably going to call it quits in a second or two. I'll maybe go a few minutes past. I'm not just going to give you 20 seconds notice and call it off. But yeah, the ones that are gung-ho, looking for trouble, the ones who want to be in the back of the van on a Friday night so that when you get put in, they can give you a bit of a kick in. or the ones that want overtime and want to be out on the street on a Friday and Saturday night when the drunks come out of the bar so that they can tase them and pepper spray them. I think I've mentioned about the time that I saw a guy, he got arrested, he resisted, he got put on the deck, he basically got hogtied. Handcuffs on his legs, handcuffs behind his back, and then they bent his legs back and put handcuffs between the handcuffs on his ankles and the handcuffs on his arms. So he's hogtied. And they're picking him up, about 5 of them, and he's calling them names. So one of them gets the pepper spray and sprays him direct in the face, like point blank, from like 3 inches in front of his face. Why? What physical threat is he to anybody in the situation he's in? I disagreed with them using the third set of handcuffs to tie the foot handcuffs to the hand handcuffs. That just seemed draconian to begin with. But then to pepper spray him because words? I don't know. Your pepper sprays, your maces, the distinction's lost on me. I don't know. They might all be the same thing and they just use different words at different points in time. You know, there's a modern trend to rebrand everything. Yeah, it's awkward. And when you're stood outside a pub and you see this happen, your ability to react and get involved and to say, "Hey, officer, that's not right." The fact that you've got a drink in your hand while standing outside a bar, it negates your authority is not the right word, but your ability to pass comment, your ability to get involved. But nowadays, with mobile phones, you're a lot more empowered. Whereas in the past, I would have been gobbing off at the police, telling them that what they're doing is wrong, and trying to get involved and trying to stop them, trying to take badge numbers or whatever. Now you just stand back and record, and try and make sure that that justice is served after the event, rather than trying to prevent the wrongdoing that's happening in front of you. You're often safer to, when it's the police, certainly, you're safer just to stand back, record it, and put on YouTube as quick as you can. Let the masses get involved and then let the press pick up on it and let it go from there. I would have always been stepping in, gobbing off at the police, grabbing badge numbers and trying to remember them. Times change. Technology is the great leveler, I think. When the police do something wrong now, there's 10 videos of it, often. One-on-one encounters, just pull your phone out and record. Pull your phone out, recap the story and get the police to confirm. So, officer, you've pulled me over 5 minutes ago because this, that. Is that correct? And he'll prevaricate and try and get away and try and... So you're saying that's not why you pulled me over? Or you're saying it is? And whichever way he goes, you can try and use it. When he writes up his report afterwards, I pulled him up for this. When he said twice on camera, no, I didn't pull you up for that. Whatever, yeah, just get it on camera. Whatever. And especially their attitude, especially if they've been aggressive. Whoa, come on then. You will be gone from here by this time tomorrow. Whatever. Get it on camera. I've got them here, haven't I? Where I said, so is Spain a democracy or not? No, it's not a fucking democracy. It's too much a democracy. Two Guardia Civil contradicting each other. I should clip that. I've never clipped that and released it as like a short or something. I should. Because they're in uniform saying it. I've got my door closed, you can't see them, but I could show earlier in the encounter where they're in front of my door. She threatened to arrest me if I videoed her. In Spain, you're not supposed to video the police. There are laws against it. She said if I released those videos, I'd be arrested. I was live streaming. What can you do? Don't provoke them, says Thomas. Have we met? Yeah. No. I provoke when I know the Guardia are notorious. I've experienced it. They arrived here on site and the first words out of her mouth was, "Put your dog inside or I'm going to shoot it." To Tina. Well, to me about Tina. Put your dog in. Very first words out of her mouth. Confirmed later in the conversation by her partner. She denied it. She did all this before I got the camera out because it just arrived. I pulled the camera out and started recording. But later in the conversation, her partner confirmed that that's what she did and that's what she said. Get that fucking dog inside or I'm going to shoot it, were the precise words. Once she knew it was English that was needed, not Spanish. I carried on provoking them for the next 2 or 3 hours. See, I stepped back into my tent because I knew they couldn't touch me. Even if this was public land, this is my domicile, this is my residence. You need a search warrant or an arrest warrant. This is my regular home and had been for a while. So even if it's public land, the fact I'd been here that long would have provided me with some protection. So and they knew this. This is why they didn't step inside. They stopped at the threshold. They stopped at the doorway. But this is the day that they got the bin men to come and stole all my other belongings. Yeah. But yeah, I know the Guardia Civil have a reputation. In terms of physical contact, the Policia Local have been worse with me. Those are the ones that have struck me with the baton. Again, unprovoked, you know. Again, I say again, but yeah. Yeah, I agree, don't provoke the Guardia. But I've found them overall to be more reasonable than the Policia Local. Although it was the Guardia that tried to run me over on the main road. Legit, for real. I went to the top of the road, crossed over. I went to the bin. I was taking a bin bag to the bin. Before I crossed over, the Guardia came over the hill and pulled in at the bus stop. I went over to the bin, and as I came back and I started to cross the road, the Guardia pulled out and right at me. And with another car, they didn't realize, I don't think they realized, there was another car already on the road. So they were pulling out from the side, and they ignored the fact there was a car already there in the road, forced him to go wide. So I'd got 2 cars, one coming at me and one on his shoulder. So if I'd stepped out to avoid the Guardia, I could have been hit by this other bloke. Fortunately, he put his foot down on the brake. The Guardia shot off. It was deliberate. This was 2 days after the standoff where she threatened to shoot my dog and robbed all my belongings. No court order, no paperwork, no receipts for what they took. And it turns out they're on private property and have got no say. Yeah. And for the next 2 weeks, I had cars driving up and down at 3 a.m, pipping horns and blowing whistles. Who's got a whistle on them? I don't carry a whistle. Do you carry a whistle? You don't carry a whistle. Policemen might, in case of emergencies, though, yeah? Might. Pipping horns, driving down, turning around and coming back, pipping horns and blowing whistles again. Anywhere between 3 and 6 a.m. for 2 weeks after the incident. Coincidence. Of course it is. Had people look into taking legal action. No lawyer would touch it. If you want to go against the Guardia, go out of town and find a specialist. Remember what I said about them all being part of the same club, all the lawyers? And the prosecutor's a policeman in uniform, by the way. when you're in court, in the lower courts, the public prosecutor in Spain is in a police uniform. He's like the chief constable from the police station. Not chief constable, chief superintendent from an English police station. So he's there in a police uniform. He's the prosecution. So police, prosecutors, lawyers, and judges, all the same club, aren't they? Oh, okay. Okay, don't panic. I put my can down and something fell over. I thought it was my can. It wasn't. That's on a slope. That's... Hold on. I got stuff set on a newspaper, and I've moved things around this. I'm on the chopping board. You know when I do the TrampCast proper, and I'm on the laundry bin, then a chopping board, and then the dog food. This is where the chopping board lives. But I had to take everything off it and then put it on. And I've got the various creases and crinkles and seams of a couple of newspapers and whatever's under them. Everything's wrong. Everything's in the wrong place, folks. Ravers have whistles. Ravers don't drive down here between 3 and 6 in the morning. They were police. I know they were police. You know they were police. When I did a TrampCast and said, we've now got webcams in place covering the road in and out, it stopped right there and then. After 2 weeks of hassle, it stopped right there, right then. Oh, and the way I know it's police was because one time I happened to be out of bed when they drove down the road, and I stood by the door and the window. I opened the curtain on the window so I could look at. I opened the door, not opened the zips, so it was only held by the Velcro, and they'd gone down. So when they came back, I could see it was a cop car, and then I went out the door, and not exactly chased them, but I ran into the little track here, so that they could see that I'd seen them and that I knew it was an actual cop car. You know, with a light bar on the roof. Ravers have whistles. Yeah, back in your day. What's a raver, Grandma? It's not 1987 anymore. Ravers. But yeah, when I announced that we'd got webcams on the road, it immediately stopped. All that hassle went away. And then I got angry with the mayor, didn't I? And I did a video slagging off Eduardo. For anyone who doesn't know, my real legal trouble started when the mayor saw something about me on Twitter and decided he was going to help. So he asked the people on Twitter to help him locate me because I needed help. And he sent his man from the welfare department to find me the next morning. And like I said before about the police and about IDs like crack cocaine to them, the guy turned up and his very first words, ID please, papers please. We said ID, but same thing. Papers please. I said, I haven't got any. Destroyed in a flood, I haven't got any. No, you have to give me your ID. I said, did you not hear me? There is no fucking ID. And anyway, you're just a pleb from the fucking council. Fuck off. You don't get to demand my ID. You don't turn up at my home and demand my fucking ID. Who the fuck do you think you are? Oh, well, I'll come back tomorrow and I'll bring the police. I said, look, if I'm in public and a policeman asks for my ID, I will find something, or I will identify through some other. I said, I'm on file. I'm on file already. I will ID. I'll tell him my name if he's a policeman and he asks nicely and I'm in public. You're not a policeman. You're not in public. You're on a private fucking field. You're not asking. I've said you're not asking nicely. You're not a policeman, and you're not in public. Fuck off. And he came back the next day with the 6 cups. One last chance, ID. And then he gave her a hand signal and they all came running down through the field. And a few minutes later, another 6 came running down through the field. And that was all because of the mayor insisting that people tell him where to find me so that he could help. Hey, Eduardo. Wait till election time, pal. I'm not a voter, but I'm going to let people know my thoughts and then let the chips fall where they may. I've no idea how often the mayoral elections are in Torrevieja. Like I said, I don't get to vote, but I get to express myself. Eduardo needs help, folks. Eduardo's going to need help. I'm just the man to help. I'm going to help him into retirement. He made an enemy that day. I've said it before. I'll say it again. And so did his head of welfare. The man from the council turning up in my home and demanding my ID. And it got me a criminal record and a €450 fine. Because my lawyer, going back to lawyers, I told the lawyer I was arrested on private land for not providing ID. Yeah, but you were camping illegally, they say. Fucking idiocracy. When the 2 lawyers talk and the guy says, he tells his lawyer I'm innocent. He's like, that's not what the other lawyer says. You know, the defense says you must be guilty because the prosecution say you're guilty. I had that exact thing in real life. They say that you were camping illegally. It's not camping. Camping is a recreational activity. I'm not here for recreation. This is survival. I'm not in public. I'm private. I wasn't here illegally. Nothing to do with the police. Yeah. I go off on one, folks. I go off on one. I was going to end this at 2 and then at 2:15. Who wants to carry on? Anybody? I'll take votes in chat. If we get more than 5 people saying carry on, I'll carry on. What's the situation in Spain? With the right to roam? I've got no idea. All I know is you're not trespassing until the property owner or his agent, someone acting on his behalf, authorized on his behalf, asks you to leave and then you stay. So just being on someone's land isn't trespass. Being on the land after the duly appointed person tells you you must leave, then you're trespassing. Hasn't happened. The owner of the land doesn't mind me being here as far as I know. Pepe tells me he knows the actual owner of the land. The Public Records Office, the land registry, doesn't seem to be able to trace the owner. I don't know whether that means they haven't got a name or they've got a name and they just can't contact the guy. I don't know. All I know is that this particular spot of land is not public, it's private. And I know that for a fact now. Because El Jefe from Policia Local wanted me gone and he couldn't get me gone. When the head of the local police can't make you move, that means that you're right all along and everything else that happened was total bullshit. Hey, Eduardo. Total bullshit, mate. You had to come and help. Tell me how you helped, Eduardo. Or Oscar, your welfare man. What? After you found me, and after you used the police, after you got me a criminal record and a fine, what help did you provide? Accommodation? Food? Did you put me in touch with like the Red Cross or something and give me some paperwork so I could get official help with food? Money? Any money? Did you give me any benefits? What help did you provide, Oscar and Eduardo? What help did you provide? You were so keen to pressure people on Twitter to point you in the right direction of where to find me, in the guise of giving me help. What help did you give? I haven't seen a fucking stick of it yet. I've got a fly running around on my light. Just give us a second. Got it. I am now become destroyer of... I am become death, destroyer of flies. You reckon they'll leave me alone until summer? In previous years, it's ramped up around Easter because that's the beginning of the summer season. They tend not to want tourists to be confronted by a man living in a tent in a field by a track used by tourists going to the beach. Don't wind Oscar up. I will wind Oscar the fuck up and I will wind Eduardo the fuck up. And come election time, I'm going to make sure that Eduardo receives all the help he needs. I'll stay quiet for now on the whole. Eduardo, you made an enemy. Right, there was a question about whether to call it quits or whether to carry on. Did anybody answer? Nobody answered. Nobody wants me to carry on. Therefore, we're going to bring it to an end, folks. I'll give you another 8 minutes, 8.5 minutes. We'll go until 2.5 hours. I've done a lot of talking today, one way or another, haven't I? Usually chatting about shit, chatting about nothing. I thought I might talk about science, but I did put in a couple of extra block words today. I've only got 3 or 4 words that aren't allowed. Geoengineering entered the fray, and cloud seeding. Those are now banned. There's no typing those words. Your message will get obliterated. That took us off on a real tangent. When was that last Sunday? I was in the mood for a longer chat, but we got derailed. I won't open that. We've only got... Oh, you know what? I'm going to open it, but only because I can't stand it there without it falling over. Whoa. Last one. Well, that one's nice and cold. Why couldn't they've all been like that? It has been an interesting chat. I've enjoyed it. I've done most of the talking. Some of you guys are a bit shy. Cheers, Karen. Cheers, everybody. Cheers, folks. Thanks for joining me here. I know... What have we done? We did 3.5 hours earlier and 2.5 now. Wow. Now, I see the numbers. I can see that, like for example, there are 7 here now and 12 thumbs up. If you haven't hit the thumbs up already, folks, please do. Or at least consider it. What was I about to say? 7 here now. But there'll be a lot of people who join for a short period. They come in, watch quarter of an hour, half an hour, leave. Sometimes they come back again later. It's difficult to judge the numbers, but 6 hours overall of me chatting shit. And remember, I've got to do 2 extra TrampCasts this week to give us a chance of catching up by next Sunday. And who knows, after I do TrampCast normal, maybe I'll do TrampCast... Oh, Christine was here as well. Okay. Was she on the brandy? Did she cheers every time I cheersed? Cheers, folks. But yeah, you get a lot more people dipping in and out of these things. Or maybe I just scare them off. Maybe they come along and try it out and decide, no, this guy's boring, and they leave after 15 minutes. She's had too many cheers. It's the only way. If I get to her age, I'm going to drink too many. There are those that would say that I already do. I just want to thank Anthony for calling round today with the beer. That was phenomenal. Literally, he's got off the plane, driven the family home, they've gone for a nap or whatever, and he's gone to the shop, bought beer, and brought it here. An hour and a half after getting to the apartment. And he brought Tina the leather collar, and it's got her name like embossed into it. Not cut, but you know what I mean, like indented into the leather. It's good. He's a leather worker by trade. That's lovely, and a lead as well. You know, if you've been here to the tramp camp, folks, like Karen and co have, I've got way back when Tina was more mobile. I strung three leads together because she needed. Well, because I used to have a 15-meter lead, and after the police arrested me, the lead disappeared. I got the dog back, but not the lead. Go figure. She was always very mobile. Nowadays, not so much. But I'm left with this remnant. I'm left with this 3 or 4 meter lead, and I'm curling it up continuously. And she's never using more than a meter or meter and a half of it. And it's unwieldy. And it didn't have a clip for actually connecting to a collar. It was tied to the collar with knots. So, yeah. So Anthony brought a new collar. Andy brought a lead connected to it. That's marvellous. I got to say, Adam and Mel brought me a collar a couple of weeks ago as well. And it's lovely. I just never took the lead off the other collar because there was no fastening. I didn't have a way to clip onto it. So Tina was wearing it, and it's very pretty. I just didn't have a way of fastening onto it. Now we're gonna go with the brand new, nice, sparkly new leather one. For now, but we've got the other one in reserve as well, haven't we? Although you got to wonder how much longer she's got left with the deterioration, and you got to wonder how much longer I've got left in the ability to just carry her around with one arm. I'll manage. I'll carry her around as long as she needs me to carry her around. But there's clearly stuff not right, and it's clearly not. It's not going to go on forever. Before Christmas, I thought it might be over by now, if you get my drift. Which is why I'm trying to... don't end on a downer. No, I'm not going to. But it's why I'm trying to, in videos, I'm trying to include her. I'm trying to get as much footage of her as possible. I don't have the ability to just take footage and keep it myself because the phone's chock full. I don't have much storage space. So it's videos that go on YouTube, which generally means available to the public. But it's my girl. She's snoring next to me now. Literally, she's right here, laid next to me and snoring. I don't know whether you can hear it or not. Hey, babe. Daddy loves his girl. Daddy loves his girl. Record her voice. Yeah, well, she's in every TrampCast, isn't she? I'm constantly telling her to shut the fuck up. Every time a car drives past or people walk past, shut up, shut up, shut up. But yeah, get her recorded at full volume. Oh! Is there a limit to private videos? On YouTube, I'm not sure. I've got a couple of things uploaded. There was one where I was walking along the road and the man was strangling the girl, or he was holding the girl by the neck and he had a hand on her breast. And I wasn't sure what was going on. I videoed that and I uploaded it in case I woke up dead the next day. You know, in case this was some kind of gangster. I still, to this day, I think he might have been like a bouncer or enforcer for the brothel just around the corner. And she might have been one of the girls trying to leave. And the older woman that was arguing with her, that I took at the time to be kind of maybe her mother, could well have been the madam or whatever you call the woman who's running the girls on behalf of whatever mobster owns it. Whoa, did you see that? That was a tiny, tiny little mosquito. but it looked like a bat flying past the camera. Hold on, I'm going to see if I can. Oh no, I missed it. He took off. He's in here though. He's in here still. But I got this video and I uploaded that and kept it private. And I think Adam said earlier he takes videos and uploads them, keeps them private, just as storage on YouTube. But I think if you did it too much, if you were taking gigabytes and gigabytes of space and you'd never published a video publicly, I think they'd tell you that you've reached your limit, that you've done enough. Yeah, they've got a bit of limits, haven't they? There's a cost to providing these services. You know, even to companies like YouTube or Google, the parent company. Sorry, Alphabet now is the parent company, isn't it? They're reversed into another entity. But yeah, a gigabyte here and a gigabyte there, there's a cost to the provider. Oh, I got it. But I didn't crush it. When I moved my hand, it flew off again. Oh, well. So, yeah, all that. So, yeah, you can use YouTube as private storage to an extent, but not too much. I got to get this hard drive working, folks. I got to get the hard drive working. Yeah, I mean, I've got over 500 videos live now, folks. You could literally... You could spend all of your entertainment time just watching me if you were really of a mind to. 500 videos. And some of them like these are 2 and 3 and 4 hours long. Most are 5 or 10 or maybe 20 minutes long. But you could spend your life just watching yours truly. Alphabet owns Google, yeah. Although Google's the original company, aren't they? But like I said, they created a new umbrella corporation and then reversed into it. Oh! Ouch! I won't explain. It'll be obvious. All right, folks. I think we're going to call it quits anytime now. Hey, babe. Hold on. We could maybe finish this properly. Oh, Alphabet Agency, FBI, CIA, all of that business. I'm with you. Hold on. Can you see her? You can see the eyes. Hey, babe, look this way. Let the people see Tina. There she is. You're licking your lips. You need a drink of water. Okay. Let me finish here and then I'll take you for drinkies. And a walkies, maybe. You want walkies? Late night walkies. It is late night. Hold on, wait. Not yet. Wait. Give a man a chance. Look at her. Okay, babe. Okay, folks. Yeah, say night to Tina. Here she is, just about. Look this way, Tina. Look this way. Auntie Karen. On the phone. Auntie Karen. Yeah. Look at that. Yeah. Here's my monster. Okay, folks, I'm going to say good night there. Good night. Thank you for joining us. Much appreciated. And as I said, there's gonna be TrampCasts galore this week, provided the weather and everything's not against us. I've got this whole tent thing to get sorted, but good night to the lurkers as well. But okay, folks. Tina. So let me grab the light, maybe. Maybe I can do this properly. Tina girl. We go walkies. From Tina. Put that down delicately. And from me, Delta Mike. Out. Awkward moment.